I like to be the person that props someone good up, you know, because I know the mechanics of how to do that. When I receive someone's why and connect with that, I want to do all I can to move them up. And I just have to know that karma's paid back in some way, you know? But if you're good at something, go do that thing. Go do that thing.
Agree.
But don't get lost in that thing is probably my message.
Sometimes.
Just sometimes, the sequel is better than the original.
From setbacks to comebacks, this is Love Take Two. Let's go.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Jose.
How's your day?
It's fired up. It's a day. We are both having a day. We've discussed this. We are both fired up in fired up land. Fired up day.
Oh my gosh.
But it's good. Let's tell everybody who we're talking to, shall we?
Got my glasses on. Toni Morrison.
Toni Morrison. Oh my God, what a light.
3-time Emmy award-winning journalist and media strategist who's built his career at the intersection of storytelling and impact. From producing at CNN to working on Good Morning America, he's helped shape stories that reach millions. And we talk about the foundation that led him to GLAAD, which is an organization that we love, when he worked on advancing LGBTQ plus representation in media, and how he eventually launched his own company, Morrison Media Group, and he's killing it right now.
And he's lifting up the good stories,
yes,
good voices.
He works with major brands like Disney, Netflix, and the NFL, as well as cultural figures to build campaigns that really move culture forward. And he's been recognized everywhere from Out 100, PR Week's Health Influencer 30.
Big stuff.
He's doing a lot of things.
I love it when you put your host hat on, you put the glasses on, and you really get in there. You
Well, I
really
don't
get
wanna
into
miss
the
a
nitty gritty.
thing.
No, I love that about you. Takedown of the week.
It's showing up on the day of you're going to film something to get a haircut.
Oh.
It drives me, like, I went to get a haircut, my person wasn't there.
Oh.
And I was like, but I need to get a
Because you're
haircut.
filming today.
And it's like you always feel better a couple days after, but on the day of, it's like I just, I don't love it.
I hear you.
I gotta be better. I gotta be better at planning it.
I hear you. Well, I had to get my hair. I got my hair done yesterday. I bleach it, and I always feel like it always looks funky the first week. I like it to grow out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
It's about planning our hair.
It's
ahead
about
of time.
planning the hair.
Yes.
100%. My takedown is bathrooms that were clearly put together by tall men. What in the actual... What are we thinking with the hooks on the doors all the way at the top of the door? Who reaches that? You tell me.
I do.
You know what else? Yeah, I can't reach. I have to hang a towel on the doorknob because I can't reach up there. Who does this?
Yeah.
Think about the little folks, people.
Okay.
Also the bathrooms that don't have trash cans in them for women's products, women's things.
Oh yeah.
Clearly put together by
as a dad of
someone without a uterus.
As a dad of 2 preteens, teens, I am now noticing those things.
They need to be there.
They need
the garbage needs to be there, and the hook needs to be slightly lower. Actually, in my case, very much lower. Just give me a short person version.
Yeah.
A short person version
Of
of it. Okay, that's our takedowns.
my take 2 is the sunshine.
That's mine too.
That is helping.
I don't know the words.
It helps with whatever drama we're dealing with.
Yes,
To have
and
some
there's
nice
drama.
sunshine.
Life is lifing for us.
Life is
as we've
lifing.
just discussed. But
my gosh.
sunshine, the sun is finally shining, and
Yeah.
that's nice. So enjoy the sun today, y'all. Enjoy the sun. All right,
Enjoy it.
y'all are gonna love this story, this convo. It's great.
I like his look too. I love his hair's
He's so. I know. I'm kind
and
of
then
jealous of his hair.
glasses.
I'm very jealous of his hair.
I know.
I
Hair
think-
envy. Speaking of hair.
Hair envy. There's my new takedown. Men who have better hair than me. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's do it. Let's bring Toni in. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Hi, Toni Morrison.
Friends.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you.
It's time.
Toni Morrison. What a famous
Toni with a
name.
Y, Morrison. For the record, I would
Yes.
never take away from Mother Toni Morrison.
No.
Oh my gosh.
But you are your own special, unique, gorgeous Toni Morrison.
Absolutely.
Intelligent.
With
'cause we're
great
talking about
hair.
Toni Morrison.
You guys,
I know your
keep
hair.
going, you guys.
I need your hair tricks because your hair. I mean, obviously it's gonna because you're a gay and I'm a lesbian. So you're gonna style better.
In case y'all didn't know.
For the record.
Sorry to out
On
you.
the record. I get most of my compliments from my lesbians.
Because we have the hair.
Yes.
But we don't know how to style it. And God forbid we take the time.
It is a texture paste. I have 2 products. One has been low on the Amazon lately. It's been taking a few more weeks to get to me, so I'm a little concerned.
Oh my God! Well, I have
with
to
the
buy
supply
some.
chain.
I'm taking some from the supply chain. So
Where I'm gonna have to do a little stockpile myself. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a tutorial later.
Part 2.
So, Tony,
Yes.
we would love to hear, we always love to start off with hearing your perspective of what you believe your take 1 was with a bit of a transition and what you believe your take 2 is at the moment.
You know, I was thinking about this, how to truncate this, if you will. But I will start sort of backwards and just say that I feel like in this moment, sitting on this floofy couch, that I feel like I'm in my take 2 right now, which is really exciting. And to be able to articulate that and share it in a way where I can't sit still is exciting and terrifying at the same time. But I feel like the entirety of my take 1, with all that it has encompassed with life and love and family, was really about credentialing who I am and all of the that comes with that. And my take 2, I feel, is all about just finally granting myself permission.
Permission to
live, to love, and just release everything within my being and not have to worry about what people think or what people have to say, but what I have to think and overthink in my own mind and my own body, and unlearn the things my body has learned in that credentialing period, and to understand that what we've learned in that take 1 is not entirely fact.
The unraveling.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Like an unraveling of the actual Tony and who Tony is.
You know, normally sometimes we like to start with our take 1 or sometimes we're highlighting the take 2. But I want to jump into this transition period because I read the article that you did for Good Morning America.
Yeah.
And when I read the article, and this was about you coming out as HIV positive, or I should say, as you say, living with HIV, right? Reading through that article, not only was I inspired, and this was his transition moment. This is him living his truth. And I want to say, I screenshot this because I loved what you said here, because you're so used to being behind the scenes and highlighting people in front of you. I mean, that's just been your job. You know, as a wedding planner, I can relate to that, right? I'm like in the back and I'm making sure everybody else shines. But I love what you wrote was, as a journalist and producer, I've told countless people that their story is their superpower. But despite that mantra, I have been so afraid and vexed by my own.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so powerful and such a moment of, you know, finding your own power and realizing that you can stand in it and tell your truth and your story because it deserves to be told.
Thank you. And wow, just to have that reflected back to me, it takes me back. But I'm also in this space of trying to, or actively applying gratitude to chaos and peace, you know? So a lot of folks who might be faith-led might apply that to giving thanks, you know, for the good times and the bad times, you know? But I feel like thanks and gratitude, they're 2 different lanes. And so especially now when I'm my own person, a free agent, if you will, which I'm sure we'll get into, just applying that gratitude for the chaos, because in some regard, we're all living this life that we've prayed for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? And so whenever I get super stressed or overwhelmed, I just dial myself back to that space of gratitude.
I love that. You know what I do? Similarly, it's a way to stop myself and give myself perspective when when shit hits the fan, when I tell myself, and tell my kids now too, and I tell my wife, life is lifing right now. Life is lifing for us right now. Yeah. And that gives you like perspective to like stop and say, okay, this is just the roller coaster we're on. This is the roller coaster of life.
Right.
See the perspective of the fact that life is lifing. That's like a gratitude moment for me.
And that's just the first step, or that turnkey process to start all of the therapy strategies we've learned.
Right, exactly.
Or just pull it together, you know. I loved what you mentioned about sharing similarities in my story with wedding planning and the roles that we live in life. And I think for a lot of queer people, we are, you know, master organizers or planners in some regard, or we work behind the scenes. We see a bigger picture and we see how the details fit into that. And we're so good at just connecting the dots and connecting people that those dots represent.
I would say, even as a planner, like I'm always I'm at the mercy of my clients and the vendors, where you are with your clients and these brands, or, you know.
Totally.
And it's I
mean, I have to think too that there's some relationship between that behind the scenes responsibility and power and the idea that for queer people, we belong in the shadows. You know, that, oh, I can find a job here because that's where I belong.
Right.
You know, and getting into my television producing career, and especially in news, that looking back now, I could see all that. Like, as a journalist, you're not supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to, you know, write things right down the middle and not let your experience guide storytelling or who you interact with and the audiences you connect with. And that was a big part of a lot of the change I tried to bring into this space with inclusive reporting, but bringing in other stories that were not the norm or not mainstream. It wasn't to create bias. It was quite literally to tell stories inclusively of all sorts of experiences, not just singular ones, you know?
And from the shadows to the light, kind of.
Completely. And I think that, sure, some people, like, we love the camera, and I'm very animated this morning, but I didn't used to be like this. And I still, to this day, like, I like to be the person that props someone good up, you know, because I know the mechanics of how to do that. When I receive someone's why and connect with that, I want to do all I can to move them up. And I just have to know that karma's paid back in some way, you know. But if you're good at something, go do that thing. Go do that thing.
Agree.
But don't get lost in that thing is probably my message, too.
Oh, I love that. Well, did you feel like after all the years that you were producing GLAAD and all the years that you were producing at Good Morning America, what was the moment for you that you felt like maybe you're getting stuck in that thing, where you're like, obviously you learned so much from it, but was there a moment for you where you feel like, okay, now I feel like I'm stuck in this thing. I'm ready to go on my own and launch my own?
It was all a build, and one thing had always led from one thing to other. I'll just take you quickly back to
let's take it back to the shadows.
Let's take it back.
Let's see how we got to the light.
No, literally.
Yeah, right.
I'll take you back to my college years, my formative years.
Hey.
I actually went to college for business. Went to business school. Failed in finance 4 times.
Attaboy.
Literally cannot count. I'm like, what is this?
Wait, by the way, I took Math 011 at UMass Amherst, which meant it was like basic algebra, and it didn't count towards graduation credits, but enough to satisfy, and I failed it once. I had to take it a second time. That's how bad I was.
We're all in the same boat, because I was told in high school after sophomore year by the guidance counselor, you know what? No more math for you. He was like, let's not.
Literally.
He was like, just take accounting. And then I didn't. And then I went to theater school. So.
This must be studied. There probably is a study. However, literally cannot count. Of course, like AP Lit. Well, that was high school, but Lit, creative, messaging, narrative build, all of that. Marketing, A+, through the roof. Just anything in like hardcore business. It was weird. Like economics, I did like okay with, you know?
Yeah.
But literally can't count. And then I got into photography in college, and I was doing that semi-professionally, shooting friends' weddings, and I'm from Orlando and went to college in Tampa. Was shooting Disney weddings, like doing the thing and doing well. Connected with a good friend and started doing Fashion Week here in New York City, and was like, this is what I want to do. I found my calling. I'm going to be a Vogue photographer. This is it. So I packed my bags. I sold my car and my guitar to move to New York City. So I was also at the time I was a worship band leader at my church.
What?
So I have an evangelical past, which I know
Oh.
What?
they are rearranging the rundown right now. I can see it in their brain.
Oh,
Wait,
my
can I ask you, because I grew up in a Puerto Rican neighborhood. Did you grow up in a Filipino neighborhood or?
So I was born in the Philippines as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
My birth father passed away when I was very young.
Uh-huh.
And then my mom remarried and we moved to American. We moved to Florida when I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Okay.
Very young. And then they divorced and remarried when I was in middle school.
Oof.
So this is part of like the love story and experience that we'll get into. There was a lot of, just right off the bat in my life, lots of roller coaster, lots of experiences of loss and trauma that I didn't internalize as grief. I just thought that was the norm. Life is lifing.
Life is lifing your whole life.
Entire life, like right out the gate.
Yeah.
It's amazing what we think is norm when we're growing up, right? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like I resented my parents or growing up. I just truly thought that this was life. So I just adapted to that measure or magnitude or caliber of grief and loss as life. I was always a high earner. Is that what the people say? Or a high torque kind of gay, you know?
High torque kind of
Just
gay.
very involved, very like I was the band president and honor society president at the same time, doing all the things.
Yeah.
I had a Palm Pilot in middle school with a little stylist.
Oh my God, I used to
you
love
did.
those.
Yes, you did.
Listen, I was running the campus, okay,
Yes.
at like 10 years old.
Were you out? Like when did
No,
when did? Oh, okay.
no, I
'Cause
didn't
of
even come out
evangelical.
until. And we're jumping all over the
We
timeline
sure
here,
are. But this is fun.
thank you.
Evangelical.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
I didn't come out until really after college. It was like more than halfway through college when I was like, well, this is not a phase.
Okay. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I always
not
thought it was a phase. I always thought it was something that all boys experienced. And I was like, why does everyone have a girlfriend but me? That's crazy. What about me?
Just like that.
No, literally. But now it's like, why does everyone have a boyfriend but me? Me. Hello? Is anybody out there? Oh my God. Right?
Everybody's out there except for you.
It's
Oh
just
my
the
God.
way you say that. That's
Oh my gosh. Hello. That's how we're calling in. We're screaming in instead of screaming out.
We're screaming in.
my
You were a
gosh.
high achieving,
High
little
achieving.
closeted gay.
Yes.
Going about your life is lifing life.
Yeah. And I will say, like, in terms of like understanding queerness or knowing when I was different, I feel like I always felt sort of different. I don't know if at the time if I was masking that with doing so much that I was trying to earn affection, love, connection. I obviously had no real depth or understanding of love romantically or queerness. I think I always knew I was a little different from everybody. I grew up in Central Florida, and there was not a lot of brown people like myself in classrooms or representation. I guess my awakening was probably the OC, Hot, and Glee, you know?
Yeah.
And I will just say, just to jump ahead real quick, like I think about this often, right, every day, but it blows my mind how you have folks like your Chris Culfers in Glee. You know, people will call out like Glee was like when I sort of knew, or when I knew I was different, or it was my gay awakening. And now I work in this space where like Chris is a friend,
Right,
you
how
know, in
crazy.
this space, and we've met and connected before at events and just projects. And I feel like I now have this responsibility to be something of, or someone of, a guardian of the gays, you know, and to fight for our stories and to create new spaces for these stories in a time in life when I did not know what that was, and in a period of my time later on in my adolescence where I hated that part of myself. I did try to pray the gay away. And I grew up Assemblies of God for those evangelicals who are watching. And I did the fine arts festivals. And as a church, and the church I went to, they really fed my curiosity for that something more. And I never in my church felt shunned or rejected, but there was that energy of, I may not belong here.
Right. Yeah.
And if you tried hard enough, you could be like this cookie cutter person or family who could live this cookie cutter life that we've sold to you. But there was something in that anchored in like a higher power and a sense of trying to find a belonging beyond yourself. And so now I obviously have a therapist, I have an astrologer on call, I have, my inclusive pastors, I have my friends who study theology. So like I'm good in the spirit realm, I feel. But that alone is just a journey.
As
in
you
itself.
know, we did have Timothy Schaefer Rodriguez on here.
Oh, yes,
right?
Timothy.
And his book is, hits on a lot of things you're talking about.
Yeah. Conversion therapy dropout.
Conversion therapy dropout.
My friend and client,
Yes.
Timothy Schrader Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tim's story is really something and really speaks to the depths all of us are willing to go to fix ourselves instead of investing in ourselves.
I think every single queer person who has come on this show has said something to the effect of what you just said, which is, I feel deep calling now to get our stories out there to help the future queers. Like everybody has said something to that effect.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree because I think that, I'm a little older than you.
Not me.
You guys.
Did you say you bought receipts? Because I bought receipts.
Oh, Lord. I'm Filipino. I don't age.
You don't. You didn't. But you are younger.
But even in media, 10 years makes a big difference, right? Like
Huge.
You talk about the OC, I think about Melrose Place, where, Melrose Place, so there was this big thing about Matt kissing for the first time on television.
Yeah.
And right before he goes to kiss his partner, they cut it, right? Last minute, they just chose not to air it, right? And it makes such a difference. But in our generation, 10 years, it's like we weren't necessarily trying to be there for the younger generation. We were just still surviving. We were still trying to figure out how we fit in a public eye, if that is ever even possible.
Yeah.
Right? The way I sort of describe it a little bit, it's like, how the divas, like the Aretha Franklins of the world, and even like Whitney back in the day, it's like they were all meant to not really communicate with each other. They were sort of like pitted up against each other.
Totally.
And just keep them in a box. Just keep them in their own separate boxes. Now you see a lot of artists that are supporting each other and like wanting to push Lady Gaga with Ariana Grande. Like they're all everybody's collaborating, and I'm seeing that with our community. I see that there's a lot more
Lifting up.
collaboration going on, and I think you're at the forefront of that. I think you really are in the big picture of our community. You are at the forefront of uplifting other LGBTQ plus youth in the public eye. And I think that's really beautiful. I think your mission, what you're thriving is really important.
Yeah. And thank you for that. That's a beautiful way to put that. I think that we're not going to get through this without each other.
Truth.
And I'm seeing exactly what you just said in independent media, that I will just say legacy brands will miss out on and will probably falter on is the collaboration piece.
What do you mean by legacy brands?
So like your, without naming the networks, but the big networks and brands that have been here for a very long time.
That are still doing it the same way.
Still doing things the same way and sure evolving, but yes, there is competition and competitive advantage. But when it comes to journalism, when it comes to democracy, if we are not working together to tell stories correctly or to tell stories with integrity, that to me, that's how we lose this fight for freedom, democracy, for self, for liberation, etc. The independent news and journalist movement is exactly what you were just talking about, where it's not that you're coordinating stories, but it's you're working together to combine audiences, to get a new perspective, to share a story in a way that more people have access to it. You know?
I was in DC on a panel with Under the Desk News.
I love you so much.
So great,
gosh.
right?
And we love you, V.
Yeah, Aaron Parnas was, it's like these are the people that I listen to every day. They're not competing against each other.
No.
They all know each other. We're on a text
very
thread
different
together.
lens.
Yeah, completely.
And to very different audiences, but when those audiences combine for shared stories or experiences,
Yeah,
is that not the human experience?
so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The human experience, life is lifing. And once again, I've said it a million times, the queer folks are at the forefront of this.
Yes.
Of this movement.
Continually.
Like, we are here. We are at the forefront. We, queers, are the ones who are going to change the world. And our children.
I was going to say, and our children that we're raising too.
Yes, we're making the world better for them.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's for everyone.
Yes, making the world more accessible, just different than the world we grew up in. Isn't that the North Star for the two of you? Of just, all of the garbage, the shit that you all went through.
Yeah.
Why would we want the same for our kids?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm learning from my kids. My kids are constantly clocking me. It's they, them.
But
they,
all the
them.
time.
But you're posting about it is also the other part of this.
Yeah.
Which is great. So thank
Yeah.
you for letting us in that regard.
I love it. We didn't really get to kind of your shadow time
Yes.
and like what it was, what you were doing, and because I want to take it to what you're doing now, but we need to talk about what you did before a little bit.
I would say my coming out story about my status was, a huge shift and a culmination of my shadow time. Maybe for a lot of queer folks like myself in these situations of just life, I think that my shadow time was a huge span of time. And not that the shadow time really is not particularly a negative time. It's just a time where you don't really know yourself.
Yeah.
When you're not in the light, you're quite literally in the shadow, which is not, sure, it's a literally dark place, but it doesn't have to be like an energetically dark place as well. Yeah. So I think coming through that understanding is part of it. But yeah, through the experiences of growing up evangelical, growing up with I was gonna say dysfunctional and broken family, but that's not the label. I grew up with a very inconsistent life, that I just adapted to as the norm. Living through that, growing up, feeling sort of rejected by society at all points, feeling a bit of shame. I write in my essay that shame I felt and that conversation I felt from people in society came from the things that they learned about people like us, or people like us in certain situations, like an HIV diagnosis. So I think I wrote in the essay, I know the things that the society whispers about people like us, and specifically for HIV, and I actually penned an op-ed for Out last year about this, but all we see are the AIDS wards and the death and the dying and the loss. And yes, we have to plant a flag in the ground that happened. And it was and is terrible. Yeah. And that is a anchor for our fight as queer people, for governments who don't listen, for societies who don't listen or won't take action for us. A lot of our nonprofits in the U.S. are originated from the AIDS crisis, when we all had no choice but to come together because we were literally dying.
Literally.
We are just in a place now to where that's not the story of HIV. This is the story of HIV.
That's right.
And yes, it took me a while to be able to say that without fumbling through that sentence or umming through it. But I'm proud to be alive.
Yeah, and you should be.
And I could care less what people think about people like me. Because
Yeah.
I'm living proof that you can do anything you set your mind to and shine really fucking bright and still be happy and to still be open to love thanks to the innovations in medicine and science.
God for science. Hello.
But it's like, I'm not going to hide behind the sins of our past.
I love hearing all of that. You know, when I was reading that piece that you wrote, I was really moved by it because I think it reminded me that certainly at that point, and of course now to some extent, it's still a stigma.
Yeah.
And, you know, my father passed away of AIDS, and this was back in 94. And so I saw him deteriorate, and I saw that we had to we had to feed him and it was such a insane thing to have to live through. And then I remember in college in 95, I remember I was with my boyfriend at the time and decided to get tested. And we had to go to the back of a liquor store and wait for a driver to come pull up.
Oh my God.
We both sit in the car. Oh no, it was one by one because I had to
I literally have chills. That's so crazy. That was the HIV testing.
That's how you did it back
vehicle.
Then. Yes. And you go in, and it's just somebody's car from a clinic, and you go in, they test you, and then you have to wait 2 weeks.
I remember that. I remember getting tested in the 90s.
Yeah, and you had to wait 2 weeks to get your results. So I mean, you're just, living in this. You just can't really think of anything else, right? Mm-hmm. But I agree with you because I think that it's no longer the focus. It's no longer the main story of any gay character or, now it's yes and, right?
Totally.
And that's what I love. I love to see storylines now that showcase people in our community that are, but that's part of who they are, but that's not even the main story.
Right.
This is what I'm about. This is what I'm celebrating. This is who I am. This is how I'm showing up in the world. This is how I'm making moves.
Completely.
And I love that that's how you're showing up. And I think I think for me, what was important is to you to bring that article out to say, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Yeah.
And so at the time when that essay was released, I was a producer at Good Morning America. And I was definitely living this imposter syndrome from the lens of I was finally out in the newsroom. You were mentioning earlier about representation, and we have your Melrose Places, you have your Glees, we have an awakening. I feel like I and my cohort brought inclusion and representation to journalism.
Mm-hmm.
My team launched the first network primetime specials on Pride, the Pride Parade telecasts, the network-wide celebrations of Pride, but also stories of Pride. So I feel like that's at least my small contribution to this space in media is bringing inclusion to journalism and our stories to journalism.
Super important.
And
so important.
I think that's not talked about enough because we talk so much about Hollywood representation, but representation right down to, yes, our local newspaper, but that sole gay journalist writing that story as well.
Not from a heteronormative lens.
Right.
So important.
Yeah.
All the stories are told from heteronormative lenses.
Right.
Most of them, except your team.
Thank goodness,
Yeah.
and just inspiring others to do the same. And you can tell when a story is being presented to you differently when it covers more than two sides, or you don't see a side, you just see a story, a human in that story.
I love when you see a woman director. The movie shows up completely. It's a different movie as a result.
We can get into an entirely different hour for that, just female and queer female led storytelling.
Even better. Oh my God.
I got sidetracked for a minute.
No, you're good.
Oh my goodness, there's so much here.
We're
very much just
Geeking.
gays geeking because we're going in all sorts of tangents.
Sure
but I
are.
feel like all of you guys can, where we're going.
Oh yeah,
We're good.
I think for my essay though, oh yeah, my imposter syndrome really was telling these stories and to leading in this direction, right? And really having a calling for this and a North Star, if you will, for the kind of inclusion in journalism. So I was telling all these stories except for mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, guys, what the fuck? You know? And I remember I was producing a piece for one of our anchors who's telling their story on air about like coming out. Not coming out in the moment, but their coming out story.
They're coming out as gay story.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a Pride special, which in itself is bonkers. It was bonkers at the time.
I actually think I
great.
remember this.
Yeah, yeah. And so one of the questions that came up, it was during COVID also, so it was like on Zoom. One of the questions that came up with a producer was, you know, who do you admire most, or who, you know, helped you with your coming out process the most in your life? And this anchor reporter said their mom. And I was sitting there on the Zoom on the other side, just taking notes. I'm like, well, fuck, I want to be able to say that to my mom about my mom.
Yeah.
That's not cool. It's not fair. So I literally like texted my mom. I was so pissed. I was like, hey, mom, you know I'm a gay, right? Question mark. And I threw the phone across the room and was like, what did I just do? And like got on my friggin' Peloton. I was a COVID Pelotoner, by the way.
Of course.
Oh my gosh. And I just like, I have that habit of just like texting a thought and throwing my phone across the room and see what happens. And I got off the bike and I grabbed my phone and she had just texted back, of course, and we love you just as you are.
Oh.
And
You had
I'm
never
like,
actually said the words to
we
your
had
mom?
never talked about it.
Wow.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, you know I'm a gay, right?
You know I'm a gay, right? Enough. She's like, oh, Lord, this queen.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So now you can say that about your mom.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I hope this lands in an endearing way for you as parents, but I think that we completely undersell our parents and undervalue our parents. I feel like we forget that our parents have lived completely other lives before our kids.
Mm-hmm. No, they didn't.
I'm still living that other life. Oh my goodness. Right. No, but like just fast forwarding back to my essay, like I didn't tell mom that essay was coming about my HIV status. Also, I didn't tell anybody.
Did she know about the HIV status?
No. So I was diagnosed in 2013. Yes. And I at most told like 5 people, like literally just one full hand.
It was a big secret.
Yeah. And nobody, including myself, knew how to handle it at the time. You know, U equals U and PrEP and all these conversations we have about medicine and science and realities were not mainstream conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
The concept of U equals U and being on medication and treatment that could make you non-transmittable was still science in 2013, but not talked about.
Correct.
So I went in after that diagnosis with like, how much time do I have to live?
Right.
Honestly, because that's all I knew about HIV.
I have to say, I know nothing. I know very little because I haven't been touched by HIV.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I don't know what kind of medicine you take. I don't know what the treatment is. I know that you can live with it. That's as much as I know.
Yeah.
Because it's still not talked about.
Totally.
It's not talked about.
Not
and
enough.
it should be talked about for our children.
Yeah.
So they know like what the reality is
Yeah.
of this disease. And we should teach the history. As
Completely.
Well,
I mean, the concept of U equals U is undetectable equals untransmittable.
Yes.
So I take 1 pill a day, and that brings my viral load, they call it, the amount of virus in my body, down to an untransmittable level to where I can't sexually transmit the disease
it's beautiful.
at all. And it's not detectable in blood draws or blood samples.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, just 1 pill a day.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And you talk about the history, but I have to say, you know, it was the lesbians.
Yes.
That
I know. Give it up for the lesbians.
Went out to Fire Island to take care of the gays when they were dying.
Yes. And I love that story is being told more and more and more.
Yes. Yeah.
Not as like a reminder, but also like as a story and as a part of history.
Mm-hmm. Just for everybody at home who doesn't know, lesbians took care of all of the gay men dying of AIDS because nobody would take care of them. So the lesbians stepped in. They were watching their best friends die.
Yeah.
And taking care of them. That's why they say the L goes first in the LGBTQ.
I love that.
I know, me too.
I believe it.
Yeah.
As you should be.
As we should
As you
be.
Front
should,
and center,
yes.
girl.
We just flip it on its head. All of us queers.
You guys don't get enough credit.
Right?
Even though you're in the first part of the LGBT.
LGBTQ.
I think it's wonderful that you're able to be so open and people can reference it and be inspired by it. I want to now know, what was your moment for you that made you leap and start your own business?
I think I was trying to set up earlier before our 76th tangent. I moved to New York for photography, and part of my story is when I moved here to shoot Fashion Week, to be the Vogue photographer, I didn't realize that Fashion Week was only 2 weeks out of the year.
You did a lot of
I
research.
moved here and was like,
you sold that
this is what
guitar,
I
girl.
wanted to, literally. And I was like, oh, my mama needs a job. So I did like the retail thing and, hospitality, and fell into TV through a friend who knew I was, shooting for photography professionally. And I fell into TV and ended up getting a job at CNN from that first TV job. And that job at CNN was an overnight tape producer job, and it was midnight to 9 a.m. But I was so happy to be there. And then that role after a few years, led to Good Morning America, running social media. And when I started, it was 3 people, and it was cat videos and show clips on Twitter, RIP. And 7 years later, that team was 40 people.
Wow.
Digital to what we know it as, So I was right place, right time, running social media. But when social media became what it is today, you have your OTT, it's streaming, it's content branding, it's e-commerce, the platforms, and working with the platforms for testing and whitelisting and what is news, digital news and Apple News, the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
I'm not taking credit for helping build, but I was right in that
Right there.
space at a very high level at the right time.
Crazy.
And when I started doing inclusive storytelling, that's when I started working with GLAAD, which is among the national nonprofits. GLAAD is the media representation advocacy arm, who we are and how we show up in the media we consume, which is part of the job and mandate at GLAAD is to support queer journalists in the storytelling and storytelling of queer stories. So I was working with GLAAD a ton, and then the opportunity came up, especially after I had the courage to tell my own story amongst the storytellers. GLAAD approached me with the opportunity to do exactly what I was doing at ABC across multiple newsrooms, all newsrooms in the space and across all media. And that was 3 years. And, it's interesting because moving into the nonprofit space from a corporate media of 10 to 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
That was a little bit of a jump scare, and I went in wanting to do so much, and you can only move so quickly in the nonprofit space.
Oh, I work in a nonprofit. It is so slow.
And it's not a slam on GLAAD or HRC or Trevor. You can only really move at a certain pace in the nonprofit space, and you can only move at certain budgets. You don't have these network budgets. You're not having these, especially with the relationship with corporates and LGBTQ and what DEI has become and been tarnished in the space right now. You can only imagine that it was an uphill battle. And I just had a very sensible conversation with them of just listen, I have my own priorities and people and projects that I'd like to support, from my news past and my work in the media space. And I just told them I feel like I would be a better agent of a GLAAD or other organizations in this space as my own person. And to be able to articulate that, I think, was the beginning of this granting myself permission to do whatever the fuck I wanted to, and whatever design I wanted to as well.
Whatever design, I love that.
Yeah.
And looking back now, and again, this is not a slam on anyone, but that was the moment I realized that through all my accolades and accomplishments and abilities to tell our stories in these spaces, I was always, even in some regard, doing it for someone else, within someone else's rubric, within someone else's design.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was not allowed to do it in my own way, but it just wasn't what that moment called for.
Yeah.
You know? So I bring all of that experience with me now into this space where I am building my own media ecosystem in space. And it's something more than like peeling back the onion, because even I started my media company in August, and it's primarily been talent publicity, brand strategy, consulting, just because I want it to be people focused, obviously, you know. But in real time, I'm understanding and seeing the media ecosystem continue to change.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients, which is so weird to say, I tell my talent clients all the time, that I can do the traditional PR and pitching for you, but that's not what this is. Like, I want to help shape not just who you are, but how you show up and appear in the spaces that you belong in. And also grant you a pause for when you want to enter a space to where you may not feel welcome or may not be ready for.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not my decision, but it's a collaborative thing, you know? But all that to say, I'm launching this people-focused, queer people-focused space too, because there's not a lot of people representing us. There's not a lot of people who understand media to the extent that we do, the mechanics behind it. But the next chapter is building out the ecosystem for where those stories can be told.
You are helping people show up truly as who they are, like right now.
Right.
And I feel like we all need a Tony, like, to do that. Like, I want you to come and just be in my house in the morning and be like, do you really want to show up like that, girl? Because
oh my gosh.
I think it's interesting that you're coming in now, because it's very tricky right now.
Yeah.
I've shared this before, where, you know, during the pandemic up until Trump got elected, our family was gold for a lot of brands, because instead of hiring an LGBTQ person, an Latinx person, a father, they had all of us in one. We were like gold, and we were just doing all of these campaigns and making all of these appearances. And the second that Trump got elected, last year from December to April, we didn't get a single campaign, because we were considered pariahs at that point, because brands freaked out. We were too diverse. And things have definitely picked up, and I've had so many beautiful and amazing opportunities since. But it's such a tricky time right now, because, and that's why I think what you're doing is important, because, and you're letting your clients know we're not really going to go the traditional route, because, to be honest, the traditional route may not necessarily have been working so great before, but it's definitely not working now with everything that's going on. So how do we get creative, and how do we, as you said, show up in spaces where you could really shine and be yourself? Because I think right now it's really hard. I think it's really harder now than it was even a few years ago. So someone who's been behind the scenes for so many years, I feel like if anybody knows how to do it, it's going to be you.
we need to clear the lens.
We are creating the lens.
Yeah.
And I'll even just punch that up a little bit. We're creating our own.
Yeah.
And I think again, just this idea and concept of, for so much of my life, I felt like I was doing things at the behest of another entity or person or people. I think systematically that is also what's happening with our community. You know, it's like we have to start our own spaces of conversation, our own networks, our own products and experiences that don't just cater to us. They're open for all, but they are ours. And we own and utilize that space. So I think that, to your point, like that's happening just across the board, that change, not just in media, but in society, and that hunger for authentic stories, not just a throwaway marketing line, you know, and not that it was ever maybe a throwaway for a lot of these campaigns of the past, but like campaigns have changed because the moment has changed also.
Yeah.
What is something that little Tony would be shocked to see or to learn getting a glimpse into Tony today?
That's quite the question.
It is, I know.
Which I was prepared for.
Oh, I love this.
But hearing it IRL, I have met someone recently who has totally repatterned my thinking of love.
Oh.
And I will just leave this at, I guess, a version of telling a younger self that you will experience love rather than working to secure it.
Why don't I have a girlfriend? Take it back to that, right? There it is.
And I had always conflated love and connection, we'll just say connection, to needing to earn it, needing to secure it, working for it. And up until now, I didn't know that you can just sit in something good and experience that good thing and just let it be good.
I love that answer. That was good. You hauling a relationship lesbian style.
I want to take to that.
Yes, I do
think
too.
I'm a lesbian, actually.
I think you are too. Welcome to the le and the LGBTQ. I deem you that. And also, I am all for the U-Haul. I U-Hauled with my wife, and we are still together going
Honestly,
strong 2 kids.
Like, if it works, it works.
It works.
It works.
Leave us alone.
When you know, you know. When you, WYKYK. I had to think that through because it.
I saw that. I was about to
I
hold
also
you up.
was
I was about
writing
to hold
it in
you
my
up.
head. Yes.
OC revival.
Down.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that.
No, we have to move
Yeah.
on, you
I know.
guys.
I agree.
The
They,
sequels, the revivals.
stop with those,
we
right?
need new. There are enough stories.
Can I say I've never
out
watched
there
the
to
OC? I
tell.
never saw it.
The OGOC?
Yeah, I never saw.
Oh, they
any
did
of
bring
it.
a take 2 on that, didn't they?
There was like a reunion.
Take it down.
I don't know.
There are enough stories to tell
I
in the
agree.
context of like, there are so many different stories to tell.
100%.
There are.
Yes.
The whole point of this conversation we just had, so many more stories to tell. Content creators becoming hosts.
Whoa. You're going to do this to me now?
Be very careful.
Oh my God. Let me
Tony.
knock over the table. Take 2.
Yes.
Because, and obviously the 2 of you are here, we conflate anyone on camera as like a journalist, you know? This is not a slam. This is a fact. Like, some creators are not journalists.
Truth.
Yes.
Some creators are journalists. We have to get out of this mindset.
Boxing.
We belong everywhere.
We sure
Okay. And some people on camera will have a certain way of doing things, and journalists will have their own things, but all creators are not journalists. And that's okay.
do. Yeah, it's true. I love your answer.
All creators aren't created equal.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave Jake Shane alone,
Leave
everyone.
Jake
Okay. I'm just going to say it. Leave Jake Shane
I
alone.
love that.
And like, you know, some creators may not be fully prepared for an interview. Some journalists are not prepared for an interview,
right, yeah.
you know, or some reporters may get their questions from their producers or writers 10 seconds before, and that's journalism.
Heard that.
Yeah.
I
I'm just gonna
heard
say it,
that, sister.
Okay?
I heard it.
As a producer,
Do the homework.
like a writer
That's my
person who has been in that space, like this goes both ways.
Yeah.
It really
debate,
does.
The accountability goes both ways.
I just really feel the most flattered that you called me a content creator. Thank you.
If you are a professional, no, I'm not a professional. If you are a yapper and you have an audience, you're a creator.
There it is. There it is. You heard it here, folks. Go follow me. No, I'm just kidding.
But really,
Okay.
please follow her.
This has
Well,
been amazing.
Yeah, this has been really
I
good.
could talk
Thank
to
you
you
so
all
much.
day. Thank
I
you.
know. We could go on and on.
I appreciate you.
On and on.
And thank you for
Yeah.
doing this and creating this space for
Of course.
love and Take 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, folks, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And make sure you're following us, subscribing, and liking on all of the social media.
Write us a little review, rate it, do all the things, and make sure to follow us.
Yes, it's at
Love Take Two Pod. That's Love Take Two Pod. Do all the things. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.